Here I am, friends. I have missed y'all. It feels like we haven't done a tutorial in years. It's been years. I'm so excited. Now, I can't do an absolutely feral look because, again, I'm traveling and I don't have all of my stuff with me. But I like to do these because you get to see what actually goes with me. So let's do it. Let's paint her face. So I'm going to use clean canvas and I'm going to use shade medium today because I'm just going to be using some neutrals. If you've ever wondered why I use different colored eyeshadow bases, I'm actually going to grab from the lid because that's plenty. But the reason why is because I don't really mind if the undertone of these shifts a little warmer. These are kind of a neutral right in between there, these two especially, not too warm, not too cool. So I don't mind that. And I also don't mind if it's just a little bit darker because normally I use the shade Fair because remember, the lighter the base, the truer the eyeshadow color will be on your skin. And if you're wondering, why would I use such a light base that looks terrifying? Just remember, it gets completely covered. So we're using our C31 here and we're just gonna stamp this on all the way up to the brow bone. And you'll notice that I don't pull here, I just kind of push it in there so I still have those hair-like strokes on my brows. So instead of setting that base with any kind of powder, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the eyeshadow and we're actually just gonna set with the eyeshadow. So we have it there on one side of the brush. Notice it's not on any other side. We're gonna take that and we're just gonna go ahead and start to press this right into the socket. And then from there, notice the tapping motions and notice that I placed that shadow just with the one side. And now from here, we're going to be able to create a second transition. And now I'm going to pick up more of the same shadow, 1, 2, and I'm just going to build it up a little bit more. And I'm also making sure that this is really nice and set. If you don't set a tacky base properly, it does run the risk of creasing, but it's not going to crease if we do it this way. So let me tell you the difference between these two. I actually get this question a whole lot. You'll see that the E28, and that's the one we're using right now, it's very flat. Do you see that? And the reason we made this really flat is because I wanted a brush that could really press that on. And then say I want to pick up this shade, I can grab it on the tip of the brush. And I find that where you grab the shadow on your brush makes such a difference. See how we can get definition there? Look at how nice and defined that is. Even without cutting it, we can add a little bit more with the tip of the brush. And that's what I was looking for. I wanted a brush that could kind of just do some stamping, pressing, and defining. But let me tell you about the E29. The E29 is going to be a lot fluffier. You can see that. With an E29, I like to consider this kind of my in a rush brush or kind of a finishing brush. So a brush like this, we can absolutely do our eyeshadow with it, but it's really great for kind of just smoothing over. And this is really great for liquid shadows. You see me use this with liquid shadows a lot to really buff it on. That's why we call this the in a rush brush. But I will show you at the end kind of a finishing, or if you really just want to buff one color all over, even if it's powder, cream, liquid, the brushes, all of the brushes can do powder, creams, and liquids. But if you just want to kind of buff and get in there really, really quickly, this one. Or if you have a really delicate eye look, some of the eye looks that we do here, this is just really great to go back over and just kind of buff and smooth all the edges and smooth everything together. So that's the difference. We love them both. Now this is a really big tip. We've talked about it a lot, but we have a lot of new friends here joining us every single day. So I want to use this shimmer, and I'm going to use this on my inner corner. This is beautiful. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to add more base. And let me tell you why we're going to add more base. I'm going to tell you why. Because instead of wetting our brushes and running that risk of creating hard pan, and I have a video of that and how to fix that on Reels, using a tacky base has worked so much better for me over the past few years that I've been using it. And the reason why is because it adds that grab that shimmer shadow needs. And also too much moisture can kind of take away from the shimmer, transform it into something that it does not want to be on your eyelid. So spraying your brushes sometimes you don't even get the right amount. Or I should say, let me let this run out. I'm running out of think about just adding too much water to this. It's kind of going to disintegrate. So this is the perfect amount of tacky that shimmer needs to grab and really be bright and extreme. And that just depends on how much you add. If you don't want a bright and extreme shimmer, you just don't add as much of the shadow. But if you do, you just layer it on top of this and it's gonna grab it and really make it pop without adding hard pan or disintegrating. It hasn't let me down once. So I was recording this and then it wouldn't upload, but we are putting on, hopefully this one uploads. We're putting on this shimmer right here. So pretty. It's a really nice rose gold, but it's not too pink. It's more of a peach gold. It's a rosy, pinky, peachy gold. It's really pretty. It's a more soft shimmer too. But this is what I was talking about when we talk about the C30 being your fingertip but better. And the reason why is because it applies the shimmer really beautifully, much like your fingertip does. But if you have longer nails like I do, or really anybody, if you want to get in here and really clean this up with that shimmer, do you see that precision? You absolutely can. So we're not going to do a wing liner. I know. I'm shook too. I'm just going to grab a black eye pencil and I'm just going to run this along my lash line. I mean, it can look like that. Does not matter because we're about to smudge it out. But I want you to notice, I'm just going to do this eye for right now. I'm doing this into my phone. Don't do this into your phone. Do this into a mirror. Now, if you didn't know this, I want you to know this. These type of gel liners, they set. So we need to hurry if we want to smoke this out without it becoming patchy. Any liner. I'm not just talking about this one. I will say some have slower dry times, and that's a really good thing. But that's why we're just going to do this eye and do one eye at a time. And I'm just using that dark brown. But if you've ever wondered why your eyeliner, when you smoke it out, maybe it becomes gray, maybe it becomes patchy, that's why. It's dry time. Just try working on one eye at a time. Because I used to feel like, oh, I need to come back over here. Oh, I need to come back over here. And then it would just not be nice and smudgy. Look how nice that looks. And I just did that with the C30. Oh, and also I wanted you to notice that instead of swiping a bunch, I'm just kind of tapping to transition this and to smoke it. Another reason is because formulas can be delicate. I feel like nobody tells us these things. They're just like, oh, it's patching up, it's terrible. We have to consider formulas and techniques, and a lot of these liners, they dry quickly and they're very thin, and thin formulas can be delicate, and a lot of swiping and pulling and tugging, it just kind of blends them away. But do you see how this isn't blending away? We just be a little bit more delicate with it. Doesn't mean it's going to take us any longer. We're just trying a different technique with it. Perfect. Sorry I disappeared. I was looking for lash glue, but I found it. So let's go ahead and pop on our moonlights. Then we wait about 10 seconds or so. And then we pinch. Does anybody remember that commercial? The little, I don't remember, I think it was Chevron. It was the little crab. He said, I pinch. It's one of my favorite things. Still is to this day. I'm gonna do Complexion. I love these. I love them so much, and I really think that y'all will love them as well. I've talked about these, but I take them with me. I have a set in my travel bag, and they're always in there. They're amazing. So we're just gonna blend that out with our C31. And this is going under concealer. It's just a corrector, but these you can wear alone. This shade in particular, I probably can't wear alone right now. I would be able to if I was just a little bit more tan. But I wear the shade Banana alone. I wore that yesterday to the airport. But this one is gonna be perfect for under concealer for me. we're gonna use our Color Stay here from Revlon. This one's for balanced to dry skin. And I'm actually just gonna do one pump of foundation today. Smooth that out. Then we're gonna grab our C42 here. Melt that in. That looks nice. This foundation never disappoints. I've been wearing it, 3 months straight, I don't know. It's my favorite. And it's from Revlon, and it's so affordable. Nice. And then I just do little dots where I need it. So we want to put some there, there. And also notice that I worked in sections, kind of like how we mentioned that eyeliner foundations, they want to dry down too. So work in sections. Don't forget your ears. How can I forget them? Little cherry tomato there. So remember how we were talking about the E29, the In a Rush brush? We're gonna grab that foundation here, and I'm gonna take that through here and just kind of clean up. And that's gonna cover up that base, because that base is a little bit too dark for me as a foundation, not underneath. So we'll take it over this way. And I have that foundation on the tip of the brush, and I'm just pressing that on top. And then we'll melt it across here and melt that in. You could also use this with powder foundation the same way, but I already had that little bit left. Melty, melty. Oh, and a quick little reminder, the fluffier the brush, the lighter the coverage. The denser the brush, the more coverage. So that's why we're using this one to kind of do this after work, if you will, instead of a more dense brush, because we don't want a lot of coverage around here. We don't want to cover up that eyeshadow. We want to melt that eyeshadow. And the fluffier the brush, just remember that the lesser amount of coverage. So I'm going to mix these two. I'm just going to go ahead and do it on my eye. Not the pink under eye. The pink just keeps everything bright and kind of just takes down the yellow that's in this. This is just way too yellow, and this is just gonna add a little bit of pink. But I love, oh, Jean, I left Jean here. I love this formula. It's a beautiful formula, very thin, very pigmented, like we talk about all the time. And then I'll just do a little bit of brightening through here. I might add a little bit of pink to the center as well. I'm gonna do that. Let me grab this. Just a smidgy. It's gonna mix, you'll see. We do this all the time, I'm sure, but I can't assume because we have new friends join us every single day. We'll blend this out. We're about to run out of this slide, but I'll continue the blending. There you go, see how nice and... Anyways, I was saying I know that we wanna see this blend out. But I cannot stress enough that I do not have pink on my face. I just need a pink undertone. And that pink is so sheer that it just kind of brings that concealer to a more neutral color. I just want to keep saying that this, not that I don't love the pink under eye trend. I love, I've been using pink powder since 2018. I love pink, give me all of it. But I want you to learn from this and know that a little bit of pink, if you have a pink blush, it could even be a cream blush because you're using such a tiny amount. And if you find your concealer's a little too yellow, just add a little bit of pink to it and it should help. All right. If you're still struggling with powder, I'm gonna give you a really quick tip. I need to do a whole video on it, but I feel like a lot of times we're not even sure how much we're picking up. I do show this quite often, but I wanna show you again. So I'm not going in here and I'm not picking up a ton of it. At least I try not to. Sometimes when I'm filming, it's hard to see exactly what I'm doing, but let's just think of it as we're grabbing this much, right? See how it's not covering the entire, but this is for my under eye only. If I was doing the rest of my face, I'd want a lot more, but this is my under eye. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run that back across here. I'm just skimming a little bit of that out, okay? Then I wanna even that out on the back of my hand. Very important. It's pushing into the puff. It's not wasted. You're gonna put it on your face later. Before I go in, even me just chatting, this could have creased. We do not want that. Now, okay, see where that's at? That's gonna be the perfect amount of powder. So now I just went ahead and kind of used whatever was left there to set the outer perimeter. And I've already started bronzing, just letting y'all know what I did. So Mob Beauty bronzer. Let me tell you. So what I did here is replace that, and you see this pointy side, the pointy side's pointed more towards the side of my mouth, the shorter end's towards my ear. And now we just stamp. And because the brush doesn't flop, it does the work for you. I'm gonna go through here back again. And then we just blend, and kind of that same idea here with the eyeshadow. When you just tap and you press, and with this brush, it just transitions that bronzer for you. And I talk about transitioning all the time. And I feel like we forget about it with the rest of our makeup. This brush transitions for you. Now let's finish up the eye. We're gonna do inner corner first, so we definitely need our E27 for that. Ooh, that's pretty. So pretty. And then I'll just lightly wipe this off just on my arm. And then we'll go into this darker color, but we're grabbing that in the center. If you notice, we grabbed the inner corner on the side. Now we're gonna grab the darker shade in the center. So we'll have more control once we come from underneath here. I feel like it's so important to tell y'all where I'm picking up the eyeshadow on the brush, because that's something I never understood, and it makes such a difference. It even means that I can use the same brush to use darker shades, lighter shades, all in one, because we're just picking it up on different sides, so it's not going to contaminate and mix together. Now let's go back into this color with our inner rush brush, and we can do some small circular motions. And then I'm going to tap under here, and we can swipe, but the reason I'm not going to swipe is because sometimes when we swipe underneath here, it directly just dusts eyeshadow into your eye, and that can make your eye water. So just be mindful that you're not fluffing that eyeshadow into your eye. But around here, we're going to be okay because it's further away, but right here, we are right in there, just dusting all that in there. I'm going to do some small circular motions to kind of just buff all this together here, soften any edges. Picking up a very tiny amount. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then again, tapping under here. And then we can swirl over here, but very lightly. I'm holding it very far back, so we have a very light touch. Too much dragging could lift foundation, concealer, powder. So we want a very light. I love this blush. I think this one's my favorite color out of all of them. It's called Honey Honey. And I'm just gonna do the matte side today, well, the more satin side. What did we call it last week? We called it a matin. It was a matte satin, because it's not too satiny, because sometimes they just borderline shimmer, but then sometimes they're a little too matte. I love these so much. This was the secret blush that I had been using and had to hide from y'all because it wasn't released yet. But now it's released and we can talk about it, and I love it. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So pretty. I'm gonna do a matte lip. We're actually heading into the office right now. And I need this to last. This absolutely lasts. It's the most comfortable liquid lipstick I think I've ever worn. And then I need to sharpen this, but we're just gonna go ahead, go for it. See how easy it is to define if you do lip liner after? If you haven't tried this, try it. So I feel like my falsies here are a little crusty. I should have washed them before I left, but look how cool. And then it doesn't change the shape. I've been using the dry shampoo on my false lashes too. Regular mascara changes the shape. This does not, and it just darkens them. I would have clumps by now. That looks so much better. Okay, friends, we're all done. That's fun. I'm probably not gonna post tonight because we have a team dinner and I just wanna be present and visit with everyone. So I probably won't be posting tonight like I normally do. But that being said, I'm going to try to find some downtime to edit a few of the videos, the saved highlights, and put them on YouTube because that's where I've been uploading them. Okay, Ben's actually here to pick me up. I gotta go. I love y'all so much, and if I don't see you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna do a tutorial. I love you with all my heart. Bye.